guys, welcome to the channel, and this is another Spooky Saturday episode. If you haven't seen the other ones, I'll provide a link down below for you guys to check out. So far we've done two or three, but today we are building a haunted Victorian, and at first I was gonna have it be kind of abandoned in a way. But I decided later on in the build to have someone actually live here, so you'll see kind of when I decided that. But probably the most difficult thing about this home was the roofing. I don't really remember having to deal with roofing like this in a really long time, so it was kind of fun, kind of challenging, and I ended up changing some of it later on because I wanted it to be more stylized. So this house is not your traditional Victorian. I wanted it to be a little more storybook-like, what you would see in maybe a Tim Burton film, or I don't know, something more stylized than what you would see in real life. So basically the story about this house is it looks abandoned from the outside, but there's actually a vampire that lives here. And in my mind, the vampire was, of course, from the Victorian era, and he just kind of is haunted by his previous victims when he was a fledgling, and he just kind of stayed here because this is the only home that he's ever known, and so he just kind of stays here. But it does have the haunted trait, so ghosts should appear if you decide to play in this home. And I also wanted it to look kind of dark and run down, so I used a lot of the wood textures from the spooky stuff, but obviously a ton of stuff came from the vampire game pack. So as long as you have the vampire game pack and spooky stuff, you should probably be okay. Otherwise, everything else is just kind of decorative from other packs. So I wasn't gonna have white on this house at all, but I figured it was a nice contrast, especially since the doors that I wanted didn't come in really any other colors that, for the trim. So I just figured, yeah, I'll just put in some white, with the pillars and the tresses. And of course I had to put a ton of ivy because it needed to look overgrown and unkept in a way. For the outside, I pretty much just kind of wanted to mirror what was in Forgotten Hollow. So I used a lot of the same trees that are there and just kind of made it look a little bit unruly and dry. Again, everything that's pretty much outside is from the vampire stuff. And of course, I wanted a ton of dry rose bushes out in here in the front. I think it would have looked really nice, when it wasn't run down and the garden wasn't dead. This whole part in the front would have been roses, and yeah, so that probably would have looked really nice back in the day. Now we're starting on the inside, and I kind of liked what I did here in the front. Basically there's like this little nook right next to the stairs there, and it's a nice little seating area. At this point, you can see I changed the roof because it was looking too similar, with the pointed kind of tower looking roof on the left and the same kind of point on the right. So I thought it might be kind of cool to add in some Gothic-esque elements to the roof. So this is what I mean by it being a very stylized Victorian house. There are some Victorian homes that are kind of like this, where they're mostly on the west coast, it seems like. But yeah, so that's kind of what I changed on the roof there. And then I started working on the bathroom, and I really liked what I did with the tile, because I feel like if you use just one of these, it gets kind of redundant and kind of boring, because most of the time tile work was very elaborate. And so what I do is I press Control F, and it brings up a little it brings up like a triangle version of the tile, so you can do some really cool designs with that. And here is like the parlor or the sitting room, and at this point I thought of making the house abandoned, so that's why everything's kind of wonky and kind of just haphazardly placed. But yeah, I then decided to just make it more livable, but it's still messy and overgrown though. And I also thought it was really cool to add some like loose books that maybe have fallen from the bookcase or have just been placed there lazily. So I thought that was cool. I got that idea from Miss Griffey. She did that in one of her haunted house builds. I think it was the one she collabed with me on. Definitely check out Miss Griffey's channel if you can. She's really creative and a really good builder, so make sure you check out her channel. I thought about layering some rugs and making a round rug, but we don't really have any good round tables yet. There's one coming in the laundry stuff, I think, which seats 8 people, or is it 6 people? But either way, it's it's a pretty big table, and I'm really excited for that because we don't have any round tables that are for like inside, so that's exciting. And I was kind of surprised I went with this sort of red and gold and black color scheme for the dining room because it's very not me and it's very like garish, but I think it kind of worked out in a way. So this area in the front here is kind of like a little seating or entertaining area where you just, you know, if you don't want to go in the parlor, you can be here and kind of socialize. So there's just a chess table and some chairs here in this area because I didn't think anything else would really fit here. And of course I put all kinds of like holes and like cracks and things like that all around the whole build just to make it look old and run down. It was giving me a little bit of flashbacks from when I renovated Devin Bumpkin's hotel. Just a little bit. Just a little unnerving. So this is the kitchen, and since there's a vampire that lives here, it's not really used at all, and it hasn't in a long time. So I put a cobweb over the stove there, and you know, it's not a room that's ever really used. But if you do want to use it, like if you move in a non-vampire sim into the house, then I'm sure if you just get rid of the cobweb, then it'll be just as fine, just as usable. So yesterday, October 20th, was my birthday, and so many of you wished me so many happy birthdays and well wishes, and I felt really special, so thank you guys. I had a birthday stream the day before, so the 19th. That was really cool too. And I'm really excited to just kind of like be more involved in Twitch, and I have a few things going on there. I need to make a schedule of some kind because I can't just do random stuff. So at least, you know, we'll have a plan set. But I hope you guys will join me on Twitch because it's been pretty fun. And I'm building the Magic Kingdom, and I have vampires plus base game build, and I'm also building something else. No, I don't think I'm building anything else, but I'm gonna be doing the Goth family. I'm gonna continue the Goth family on Twitch, as well as maybe Not So Berry, if I bring myself to it. So this room is the music room, and I really wanted it to have a certain type of mood, and I was very inspired by Devin Bumpkin's Art Deco hotel that he did recently, where he used a lot of like red and like dark colors. So I thought this would be a really neat room to have like this bold red wallpaper. I'm just adding doorways to this. Is just the hallway area, really nothing special about it. I did replace that little dog though with the cool, like, I don't know, is it a bird skeleton head? And then here is the secret coffin room for the vampire. So there's actually the secret doors. They look kind of like bookcases built into the wall. but it's actually a secret door to the vampire's lair. It's not really a lair, it's just kind of an extra room, I guess. But I really like the idea of using a ton of candles, because maybe the vampire, you know, they don't need electricity, or they're not used to electricity, so they just use candles for light for, you know, all the rooms. I was going to use the vampire bed for this room, but the vampire bed seems a little before like the Victorian era. And I also had this cool idea to actually use the floor lamps as tableside lamps, because they're a little taller, and I don't know, I just kind of liked that it was a little different. And then I wanted to make the bed more fancy by adding curtains, so it looked like a 4-post bed with some curtains, because the ones that are in game, I think there's like 2 of them that have posts, and they're a little too modern for this style, so that's fine. So I kind of did the same thing with the bathroom, or the master bathroom up here, where I used 2 different tiles and kind of made my own design so it looked more elaborate. And what's cool about this is there's a French door that goes from one part of the bathroom to the other side. So I think I changed the sinks in the bathtub to be switched, so that way the bathtub is kind of in its own area. So I thought that was kind of unique. But yeah, guys, I'm just going to be finishing up the bathrooms, and that's pretty much it of this build. I hope you enjoyed it. Next week it's going to be a gothic wedding venue, so that's exciting. I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye, guys.